Thank you, everyone, and welcome to another webinar by Royal Cyber. Today, we brought a very interesting topic for our audience, which is close to my heart as well, IBM Cloud Pak for integration. Now, before we begin, I'd like to understand if anyone is unable to hear me or cannot view my screen. Please notify me on the chat window located at the right side of the panel. Now let's talk about what we'd like to cover today. As part of the agenda, we're going to talk about the overview of Cloud Pak for integration, the product overview that covers the latest release and enhancements available in the product, implementation expertise by Royal Cyber, followed by the demo, and then we'll talk about a couple of use cases. A bit of an overview of who we are. So Royal Cyber is a globally recognized award-winning technology player that has been helping many organizations globally doing the digital transformations for over 20 years. We have our partnership with IBM for about 2 decades old now, and we're the preferred implementation partners for IBM middleware stack. My name is Ali. I'm the pre-sales solution architect, and I'll be your host for today. Along with me, I have 2 great speakers and colleagues of mine. I have Andrew Humphrey, who is the project director at IBM. He is expert in setting up the strategies for IBM middleware products. On the other side, we have Kevin Obongo. He's a IBM middleware solution architect at Royal Cyber. He's expert in cloud computing, application development, and microservices. Now, before we delay further, I'll just request Andrew to take over and just give us the rundown of the product. Over to you, Andrew.
Excellent. So I'll get right into it. So as Ali said, my name is Andy Humphreys. I run the Cloud Pak for integration product team within IBM, and I'm going to spend just 15 minutes or so just going through what the Cloud Pak for integration is and some of the latest features that we've introduced into the product new and exciting features that we've introduced to really show some of the value of Cloud Pak for integration. I'll start with this slide, and the message that I want to put across on this slide is that if we think about the integration challenges that people are facing today, we can see that they've changed a little bit in terms of their overall requirements and what they're actually trying to achieve as a business. So it doesn't mean that the core requirements around integration have greatly changed. It doesn't mean that the problem of how do I connect to systems, how do I get data out of it, how do I move them around and so forth, which integration has always solved, is different than it was previously. But it does mean that some of the reasons that we're trying to do integration and some of the things that the business is trying to do that are driving a demand for integration are different than they were previously. So it's things like how as a business can we provide more compelling digital customer experiences? And that's a big drive, obviously, around digital transformation worldwide. And we see more and more that drives a lot of integration use cases, because it's like, well, in order to build a compelling digital experience, I need to be able to connect to the back-end systems that host that data. That's an integration challenge. We also see with the adoption of cloud as a deployment architecture and applications running in those clouds, but that creates new integration challenges. It's like, well, if I've adopted, say, Salesforce for my business, replacing an on-premise CRM system, which I may have written myself, or packaged application, how do I keep those 2 things in sync? Or how do I connect that new CRM system with my old, that new Salesforce system with my old systems that I will still have running on-premise? And then if we sort of think about the last 2 points I'm making here, we see that some of the ways that we approach integration are different than they were previously. So we're increasingly seeing like that the ways that people want to be able to do integration are really driven via APIs. It's like how do I expose things via APIs that I can use in my business to build new applications and so forth. And that's APIs in the sense of REST APIs, but also like event-driven APIs. So things like Kafka and technologies like that are increasingly important for how companies are looking to build new connected systems and enterprise-wide integration. And that's all on the challenge that we need to make integration more agile. We need integration to go faster than it's ever gone before. We need to be able to build things quicker. And all of that kind of leads to the conclusion that actually the way that we've traditionally done integration in the past, which is very centralized with single servers in HA configurations and so forth, doesn't give us the flexibility we need to be able to build more integration quicker, easier, and faster than we've ever done before. So these are big challenges that the business is facing. And if we think about that point of agility, if we think about what that actually means and how a business can be more agile, it really comes down to three key areas. So firstly, there's the technology. I need to have the technology to be able to go faster. And that really comes down to, well, I need to have something which is cloud native. So I need to be able to take advantage of the technology advances that have happened around Kubernetes and running in containers and so forth, in a way that can provide me still with essential integration and capabilities and still give you the unified security that I need. And then about like, well, how do I want to approach integration? How can I make it more fine-grained? How can I make it be API and event-driven as I described? And really, how can we move architecture to a more of a microservices style like we've seen happen in the application world? And actually, if you think about integration as a space, it's actually more suited to a microservices architecture than even applications work, because anything we actually do in integration tends to be quite small and fine-grained black box in its own. That we used to traditionally deploy integrations onto a monolithic EA was more to do with the technology than an architectural decision. It was quite easy for us to want to be able to break those things down logically as single things, which actually is the microservices architecture. So those are the sort of technology aspects of this. But we also need to think about, like, if we want more agility, the people and process. It's like about, in order to build integration, I need and meet the demands I have for integration today, I need more and more people to be able to build those integrations. And I don't want those people to be in centralized teams. I want them decentralized and empowered to build integrations following agile methods. And these things together is what has led us to think about creating the Cloud Pak for integration as a platform that brings together all of the integration capabilities you need, but then rewrites all of those technologies that we've seen from IBM in the past to run natively in the cloud, to run natively using containers and microservices architectures, and give you that agility to run anywhere on top of OpenShift. So it means that the Cloud Pak for integration takes all of the existing skills you have around things like message broker and IRB and data power and MQ and so forth, but changes the runtime, changes the architecture and the technology so that you can get greater agility from the products than you've ever seen before. And if you think about what we've done here within the Cloud Pak for integration, there's a whole bunch of things that you get which go beyond what you would just get if you just deployed via containers. So things are certified to run from on IBM on Red Hat OpenShift. We test and we provide a whole bunch of different capabilities. I'm not going to go through all of these features in the interest of time, but I just want to illustrate there's a whole bunch of things we've invested in to make the Cloud Pak for integration run in a way which is native to OpenShift and gives you the benefit and ability that you get from that. And as an example of that, is we launched in July. Well, we actually launched it as an early access feature in March, but we've now productized this in July, so it's now fully supported in the product. The ability to do NQ, which is probably the oldest product that we have in the integration portfolio, it's been around for 30 years, but it's now been rewritten such that you can do high availability of NQ in a native way on cloud architectures. And the Cloud Pak makes it very easy to do this. So you don't have to be a Kubernetes guru to understand how to deploy and use these things. Similar thing that I want to talk about in terms of roadmap and futures is we recognize that people want to get a lot of benefit from this kind of architecture and way of deploying integration, but they don't have the skills around Kubernetes or they just don't have the facilities in their data center to do so. So we're GAing into the end of this year, the IBM Cloud Pak for integration running as a managed service, which will give you a dedicated single tenant environment that you can run as your own environment for Cloud Pak for integration, but is actually managed completely by IBM. And that will be available to run on Azure or AWS in any data center worldwide that they run on. So it's not tying you to IBM Cloud. You can run it where your cloud decision already is. and the environment is managed for you by IBM. So I've talked a bit about the architecture and the reasons why TP4i has been written onto Kubernetes and OpenShift to give you that agility. But the other aspect I discussed at the beginning was beyond that. It was talking about like the capability that we have and the different demands we have for different integration use cases than we ever seen before. And that's another key area for us to invest in into the Cloud Pak integration, is very focused on how the Cloud Pak can solve the different integration challenges that we're seeing today. And that's what I describe it on these charts as 9 entry points from like the Cloud integration and what it can deliver. So we're very focused on delivering an experience that enables you to manage APIs very easily, respond to real-time events, and also for that in a more agile and integrated way, and also build things faster than ever done before. Whilst doing that without making any sacrifice around how easy it is to secure your business, how easy it is to protect transactions, and how easy it is to balance workloads. So all of the capabilities you would expect from IBM in general. And there's a whole bunch of features we have, again, I won't go for all of this, which are available only within the Cloud Pak. So you don't get this if you buy the individual product, deploy them by containers, OpenShift. You need the Cloud Pak to get these unique features, which I won't go through in the interest in time. And that really described how we've been positioning the Cloud Pak since it was released about 2 years ago. But as we now move into like kind of looking at, well, how can we build on that? What we're very focused on in IBM is around the ability of, well, how can we actually make things more automated? How can we actually take a lot of the effort out of manual effort out of building integration and managing integrations and make that a more automated experience? So within the Cloud Pak infrastructure, we're very focused on automating as many things as possible. And in terms of integration, that means automating as many manual tasks as possible from the build time to the automation time, so that you make the integrations much faster and easier to build. And our target is things that 300% faster to integrate and 33% loss cost. And as a result of that, we've got a whole bunch of new features into the Cloud Pak, which came available in our Q1 release. So we think about when in 4Q of last year, it was described earlier, it was all the different integration products, rewritten derivatively on OpenShift. There's a few components that tie those things together. But in Q4, we've added a whole bunch of new features very focused on automation. So for example, we now include within the Cloud Pak integration an RPA engine, which means that you can now integrate with things you could never integrate before because they have no programmable interface. And we include process mining tools to do analysis of what's running. And also critically, we include an AI engine. And I'm going to talk about how we make use of that AI engine in the next couple of slides. But first, we're going to talk about another key feature we have and another unique value of Cloud Pak for integration. Because I talked earlier about the need to work with APIs and how that is also about event-driven architecture and the adoption of Kafka. And we're unique in the market in providing the ability to manage both APIs and Kafka events with a feature we've launched in earlier this year called Event Endpoint Management, and this was actually enhanced in our Q2 release, which enables you to treat Kafka events in the same way as you do with APIs. So you get a catalog of what those events are, you can register to use them and see who people have registered to use them. And as we go forward, we'll use policies on gateways, so you can apply like who can access those and the frequency of updates and so forth. And this is a feature which only IBM provides. No other competitor provides this capability to manage APIs and events, or even the ability to manage events at all. So this is a real differentiator for us in the market. I talked a little bit about automation and how automation is important, and I wanted to come back to that and talk about, well, what do we mean by automation? How is it going to help me as a user of integration? And really it comes down to these 3 key areas. So I'll start at the bottom here, which is, if you think about the world today and the integration challenges we face currently, the traditional approach of having multiple different products no longer really applies. What we really see is any integration solution involves the combination of multiple different styles of integration and focusing on a use case that we need to deliver. So a classic example of this would be, traditionally, the way that I created an API was very separate from the way that I managed it. Why does that need to be? Why can't we focus on delivering a solution which does those things in one place? But also focused on like how do we reduce the efforts of building an integration? How can we remove the need for this to be an expert skill and make it quicker and easier? And I'm going to talk a little bit how we're using AI for that. But also looking at that is around like, how can I use like AI and automation to improve my operations? How can I have like kind of a closed loop world where the Cloud Pak is telling me how to improve the integration based on what I'm seeing in real world data? And these are things we're really focused on improving and delivering in the Cloud Pak integration. And I'll give an example of how we do this. We're looking at AI and how we're using that across the API lifecycle. If you think about like the lifecycle of an API, firstly about creating it, then about securing it, then about managing it and socializing it. And what we want to do here is, and we've already delivered this, is make the experience of building and testing an API more automated. So we've worked on delivering a single UI that does this, and then we're working at testing that can actually test how we build APIs as we go forward. Then I think the next stage of that is like once the API is deployed, how can we use AI to monitor what's going on from security level? So how can we monitor gateway traffic to watch for watch and prevent security issues as they come up? And we're also working on this via a partnership with a company called InVision. And then if we go to think about, well, how can I use AI if I manage APIs? So well, we use AI to analyze across your APIs, who is using them, what business value could be derived, what new APIs could be used as a result of that analysis. And also on the socialized front, how can I understand what APIs I have, what they do, and use that to build intelligent relationships in the future? So we've already started to deliver on this task. So we've delivered a new experience in Cloud Pak for integration, actually became available in April of this year. That makes it 3 times faster to build an API than it ever was before or is with any of our competitors. And this experience extends end to end. So I build and define an API and build that API using our award-winning designer experience, and also then manage that API all from a single UI. Don't have to jump between UIs to import and export and so forth. And that's a significant step forward for us. But we're not stopping there. As once we've created an API, we need to be able to test that API. And what we've also delivered in the Cloud Pak release in 2Q was the ability to generate tests for those APIs based on the production data that we're seeing within the Cloud Pak for integration. So what we do is we now analyze data that's actually running through that API in order to identify gaps in your test harness suite and use that to build the API that you want to use and deliver, to ensure that you have significant test coverage for that. That augments what we delivered in Q1, which generated all the API tests we could discover just based on the open API spec. So we could generate tests based on all of the operations that we could see and all the different paths that we could see for all that. And this is about our path towards, which applies specifically to APIs, but also in general, towards driving more and more into automation into every stage of the integration. I'm using API testing as an example. Whereas if you think about what's involved traditionally in building and maintaining an API test suite, we had to do all of that manually. In Q1, we introduced the ability to set up the test for you, set up and create tests that you need just based on static information like the API definition. In Q2, we extended that. We actually generate tests based on data and look at what you've done using the AI engine to test whether you actually have complete coverage for that. And then as we move forward in Q4, we see more and more automation added to the Cloud Pak. I just want to end now on the last couple of minutes around this part, which is around how also can we use AI to make building the integrations much easier and simpler than it ever was before. And what we're looking at doing here, and we've delivered the first version of this in our Q2 release, is how can we compose integrations just based on natural language. So in the same way that, like, if I start using like text messaging on my phone, I get predictive text telling me what I think it thinks I'm going to do. How can we apply that to integration? Or another way of thinking about it is, I do something like ask Alexa. If I was to be able to ask Alexa to generate an integration form, how would that? And what we've done is we've used the AI engine, which is based on IBM Watson natural language processing, to add integration forms. So we can do it basically by just starting to describe an integration that we want to build. So I might put something like capture festival attendees, and the system will use our AI to figure out, well, I actually want to capture festival attendees. The system most likely that I would want to use that is Eventbrite, or add an integration flow which is created by new attendees being entered into Eventbrite. And then I might want to say, check those attendees as leads, and the system will go, well, actually, Marketo is what we use for leads. Therefore, I'll add that as an integration step here. And then we will actually, no, I don't mean Marketo, I mean Salesforce. It will just put in the text box at the top, capture festival event attendees as new leads in Salesforce and figure that out. Or I might want to add if logic, so say if they in the US do that and so forth. And this is an example of how we're investing very heavily in natural language integration and automation and using AI to improve the integration experience and make it much easier for you to build integrations, particularly focused on those use cases which are most relevant to the integration customer today. And that's part of a huge journey. The Cloud Pak for Integration event involves a huge amount of innovation coming from IBM, and a huge amount of investment in terms of focusing on the different things you want to be able to do with integration and how we can make that experience better. So on this chart, all the things I put in bold are things that have already been delivered. These are in the past or in our most latest release. And the things I've got in italics here are things that we're working on, things that we're working on to deliver. So with things like the integrated API offering, single experience of creating APIs, event endpoint management I touched on, are all there focused on how we can do better digital transformation. And we have a whole bunch of AI tooling. So I talked about the API test generation, but we also have AI in the ability to map data. So we figured out ways that we can map data between different systems that can make suggestions for you, and the natural language integration that I just described. And this is an indication of how big we're investing and how much we're looking to change the game around integration by using AI in order to do that. So that was all I wanted to mention. So I will hand now back to Kevin as the presenter to go through this next section.
Sure, Andrew, thanks so much. I hope everyone can hear me. I'm glad you found time to join us this evening. So I'll take you through a demo of how you can simply work with Cloud Pak for integration. So basically, it's a simple use case where we are going to see how to expose an API on App Connect, and then do the same on API Connect, push the asset in an asset repository. And then we are also going to look at the logs in the end. So I'll just go ahead and share my screen. I hope my screen is visible. Ali, if you can just confirm that you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Sure. So what you're currently looking at is OpenShift. Is a platform where this application runs. So basically, what I have today is a 5-node OpenShift cluster. And so if you want to look at the size of this cluster, it's not too big, just 5 nodes. We're running about 64 gig of RAM and about 32 gig of CPU. So just a brief overview of how to set up Cloud Pak for integration as we start. It is operator based. So basically, if you switch to your administrator console, okay, you go to the operator hub, you can basically search for Cloud Pak for integration here. So basically you can do CP4I, and with just a few clicks, you will be up and running. So basically, like you can see in my cluster, I have the ones checked in green are already installed already. But if you are to do this on your own, then you will basically just open the one you want to install and then go next. So after that installation is done, they are going to list here under installed operators. So you can see I have IBM Data Power and all other components. So to open Cloud Pak for integration, we use Cloud Pak for integration platform Navigator. Right. So if I go there quickly, you can basically open it using the route, and it will take you to a page like this one. So this will indicate for you the integrations that you have enabled. So like in my demo environment, I have API Connect, App Connect, IBM MQ, and the logs down here. Right. So we are going to use App Connect to deploy a simple bar file. And normally we do our development from IBM API Toolkit. This is a great tool for doing your flows. So I have prepared beforehand a simple flow. So it takes some input, does some analysis, and it gives you an output. So to generate a bar file, like we normally do, we just right click, then generate, then give your bar file a name. So I can do that, but I'd already done that beforehand. So I can just say this bar file is going to be called webinar 02. Okay. Okay. So I can just check the application that I need to expose. Then I build the bar file. So coming back to Cloud Pak for integration, we are going to use App Connect. We are going to use App Connect dashboard to deploy my bar file. So simply to access App Connect dashboard from where I showed you earlier, basically you come to integration. Integration dashboard, and then it will take you to a screen like this one. And then basically what we do is create an integration server, select the type, and then go next. Right. And then I will basically drag and drop my bar file that I had prepared earlier. So in this case, I think it is this one that I named webinar 02. Just go next. I will not change any of these configurations for now. I'll just proceed to give it a name, which I will call it webinar. You can choose the version, accept the licenses, then enable operation dashboard, which is optional, but you can enable it. In this demo, I will not enable it because it will take a bit of time. Conscious here.
Okay.
So
I
just
think Kevin, sorry, I think there is some noise at the background.
All right, yeah, there's some construction, but I hope they'll be done in a short while. All right, so let's just continue. Yes, so just fill up these options and then click create. So you can, because this is a containerized environment, you can use the command line. You can use the command line to check the progress of your deployment. So I'm already logged into OpenShift, so I can basically check how far the pod is being created. I think so let's see. So it is called webinar here. All right, so you can see it is this one that is almost up and running. 10 seconds. So if you look at the details of this deployment using the OC describe command, okay, so OC describe command, sorry, I need to put the name. So you can see that there are several items that that have been added for you automatically. So there are secrets that have been added, certificates, all that. And if you want to see all the objects that have been created, so we can use one of the labels. So say we want to use this label here. And let me just clear the screen so that I go up. So let me just list all the items that Cloud Pak for integration have actually created for us. So using the label, okay. Okay. So our application is already deployed on App Connect. And so if you just refresh this screen, you are going to see that it is the deployment is still pending. So it might take a while for it to be up and running. But I will open one of those that we have done earlier. So basically, this is one that we did earlier. So if you open the deployment, and this interface gives you that ability to test it from here. So you can see the endpoint is here. Under definitions, you can come here and try this operation, for example. So like in this case, it is taking an ID. So if I go to try it, I can generate a random ID. Then from here, you can be able to test your service. So this is not normal enough. You'd want to move this application to expose it as an API on API Connect. So the easier way that do it is normally you generate the YAML definition that comes down here. Okay, so you can download it, and then once you download it, then you basically go to API Connect and import it there. So I will download this one, and then I'll name it. Okay, I'll give it the same name. Orders. So going back to Cloud Pak for integration interface, we go and open up API Connect. So this is the first one, which is API management. And yeah, so it will open a window like this one. This is the API manager interface. So here we create, manage, expose our APIs on API Connect. So I'll go to develop APIs, products, and add an API. I will create an API from an existing service, and then simply drag and drop the YAML that I had generated earlier from App Connect. So just the normally we do it, we give the API a name, and then give it the base path, go next. For this catalog, there is no gateway configured, but I'm not so much worried about that. You configure the type of security, then go next. Okay, so this is already existing because I played with it earlier. So let's just go and rename it back. So let's go and just give it a different name. That is, yeah, so new order webinar. Okay, yes. So we are successfully. So far we have seen how to use App Connect toolkit. We have seen how to deploy your bar file on App Connect dashboard, and now we have seen how you can use that the YAML file from App Connect to expose your APIs on API Connect. So here you can do further manipulations on your API. So if you want to add some XML, JSON to XML, anything you want to add. So once you're done, you basically come and publish your API to API Gateway. Okay, so just cognizant about time, I'm not going to go through those steps, but yes, you just come here and now you can expose your API. So I want to demonstrate how you can now share your assets on automation assets. Okay. So if we go to sorry, if you go to the API that we developed, which was this one, it actually provides a one-click of how to do that. Okay. So if I go on the top right, I can basically come here and say push to asset repository, which I will do that now. So if I open asset repository, I will see that all the items, the API that was that we pushed from API Connect will appear here in asset repository. So this is important because you would want to share these assets with your teams for easier reusability. Right. Okay. So let's just give it in a few seconds. Yes, so you see it here. And here it comes with all the definitions. You know, like everything you need to everything you need if you want to consume this API. You know, the URLs, the definitions. You know what it requires. It even provides a sample curl request here. You can change and get, for example, if you are a Java developer, for example, you can come here and change to Java, and then you can basically copy this one into your application. All right, so far we have walked the journey from toolkit API App Connect toolkit to App Connect dashboard to API Connect to automation. The very last one I wanted to show is operational dashboard. So this is a very important tool that comes with API Cloud Pak for integration. So it is an add-on. It is based on open source tools called Jiga and open tracing. So basically what it does is as you access your API, a trail is left behind. Okay. So those trails is what is used to analyze. So for example, in the overview page, mine could be blank now because I don't have enough information in this one yet. But you'll see information about latency in App Connect, API Connect, and IBM MQ. And one point to note is you can only trace applications deployed on Cloud Pak for integration. So that is one of the benefits of Cloud Pak for integration. Further details you can find on App Connect view, API Connect view as well. Yes, I don't have anything for the last 24 hours, but yes, we have information here. And then IBM MQ overview. Yeah. So for traces, yes, still not able to capture any trace, but trace will show you the spans. So so if you have a service that is going from API Connect to App Connect to IBM MQ, it will show you how long each of those steps took. So if you have, for example, a very slow API, then you can basically use that track to trail where that where could be an issue So basically, in the tracing section is a very important tool because it will show you all the spans that an API call has gone through. So just to recap, yes, from our bar file, we were able to expose it on App Connect dashboard, and then to API Connect, and then share it using VM automation. And then I briefly took you through operational dashboard. If you want to add a capability on the dashboard here, So it is also operator based. So basically I would come to integration capabilities. Or rather, let me try to add IBM MQ. So basically, let me go back, and so in here I have one instance of IBM MQ, but I want to add another one. So I would go to let's see, I would go to messaging. No, actually messaging will take me to the overall overview page. Okay, but let me see. I go to integration capabilities. Sorry. Let's give it a bit of time to open. Okay, so it's still loading, right? So if I want to add any of these capabilities, I will basically go here and choose the capability I want to add. So if I want to add endpoint management, for example, I'll go next. And then you choose you choose the size of your cluster, and then just go next. So this, I won't do it, but this will, just show you how easy is it to use some of these tools using Cloud Pak for integration. So I would want to stop there for now for the demo and quickly go back to the slide. Move to, let me make it full screen. So customers use cases. So us in Royal Cyber, we work with many customers across the world. One of the use cases that we wanted to show you today is a leading government entity in Saudi Arabia. So they were looking to digitalize some of the government services and expose them as APIs. And so with the Cloud Pak for integration running on top of OpenShift, we have API Connect running and App Connect, and we also have IBM MQ. They have reaped tremendous benefits in terms of compare their investment into it. So we are looking at, they're now doing over 3 million calls per month. They have enhanced their customer experience. They have also managed to reduce cost and efficiencies and so many other benefits. So you and your organizations can also achieve these ones if you go Cloud Pak for integration. So that's about it from me. I'll hand it over to Ali.
Okay, great. I think that's a very insightful session. So I'd like to personally thank you, Andrew, and thank you, Kevin, for taking out time and sharing your experience in terms of the product, in terms of the implementation, and showcasing the demo. And we'd like to continue such sessions, Andrew, together between IBM and Royal Cyber to give this insightful information to our customers, our audience, and whosoever has joined the session. So it's been a pleasure hosting this, and it's amazing to hear it from both of your sides. Thank you.